Marvel Latin has just dropped a massive tease that the trailer for Avengers Doomsday is coming very soon. And at the same time, we've got some crazy casting news, major fight leaks, and even a big update from Ryan Reynolds about the future of Deadpool. So let's break everything down in detail because things are getting wild. First up, Marvel has reportedly cast a child actor named Wally Holloway for Doomsday. And sources say he's not just a background character, but someone important. Now officially his role hasn't been confirmed yet, but according to strong rumors, he could be playing James Rogers, the son of Steve Rogers. And honestly, if you look at him, he literally looks like a young Chris Evans, like a perfect pre-serum version of Steve Rogers from the early days. And if you remember the post-credits scene from Fantastic Four First Steps, where we saw from behind a man and his kid watching a Fantastic Four cartoon, many fans believe that was actually Steve and his son, and this new actor matches that kid almost perfectly. But here's the twist, some reports are saying he might actually be Franklin, the insanely powerful son of Reed Richards and Sue Storm. And if that's true, then things get even bigger, because Franklin plays a huge role in major comic storylines like Secret Wars. But personally, it feels more likely that Marvel is introducing James Rogers, because that would directly connect to Captain America's legacy. Now moving on to the action, because Doomsday is not holding back at all when it comes to fights. We already saw in the CinemaCon trailer that Shang-Chi is going up against Gambit, and that Yelena Belova will face Mystique. But here's where it gets interesting, because months ago a report listed multiple fight matchups, and now that two of them are already confirmed, it strongly suggests the rest might also be true, and the lineup is honestly insane, starting with Mr. Fantastic versus Nightcrawler, which is basically confirmed since Nightcrawler's actor Alan Cumming already hinted at fighting Pedro Pascal's Reed Richards. Then we have Captain America versus Cyclops, which will most likely be Sam Wilson taking on Cyclops, and that's going to be a tactical battle rather than just brute force. Then comes Captain Marvel versus Monica Rambeau, which is surprising because of their emotional connection, but could make sense if this happens in an alternate universe scenario, tied to the X-Men world where Monica is already stuck, and this might even connect to the binary version we saw earlier. And even though Brie Larson hasn't been officially announced, her involvement feels almost necessary because Avengers will need a powerhouse at that level. Now, the most mind-blowing fight concept has to be Sentry versus Professor X, because this isn't just physical, it's psychological. Imagine Charles entering Sentry's mind trying to stop the Void from taking over, especially if rumors are true that the Thunderbolts might die in the film, which could trigger Sentry's breakdown. That sequence alone could be one of the most intense moments in the entire MCU. And then we get a massive team-up fight where Mr. Fantastic, Cyclops, and Captain America join forces against Doctor Doom, which perfectly represents Fantastic Four, X-Men, and Avengers coming together. And on top of that, we already know that Doom is going to absolutely dominate Thor, even stopping Stormbreaker with just 2 fingers, which shows how insanely powerful he will be in this movie. Now imagine the chaos. If Marvel secretly includes surprise fights like Hulk versus Wolverine, that would literally break the internet. And speaking of hype, Marvel Latin has hinted that the Doomsday trailer is almost ready for global release, which means we might not have to wait much longer. And finally, let's talk about Deadpool, because Ryan Reynolds revealed that he's currently writing Deadpool 4. But this time, Deadpool might not be the main character, instead acting as part of a team. And while that sounds surprising, it actually makes sense if the movie is set in the Mutant Saga, where he could join X-Force alongside other mutants. But let's be real, no matter what happens, Deadpool will always steal the spotlight even if he's on screen for just a few seconds. Still, a Spider-Man and Deadpool team-up would be insane, even though it's unlikely. And there's another detail that only a few fans know about. In Marvel history, Chris Evans is probably the only actor who has fought Doctor Doom 3 times. And you might be wondering how that's possible since Avengers Doomsday hasn't even released yet. Well, it started with Fantastic Four 2005, where Evans played the Human Torch and went up against Doom. Then again in Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer, where his Human Torch fought Doom once more, and even became the MVP in defeating him. And now, in Avengers Doomsday, Evans is rumored to return as Steve Rogers, stepping up once again to challenge Doctor Doom, even if it means leaving Peggy Carter behind. But here's the wild twist. If Tony Stark turns out to be a variant of Victor Von Doom, then technically Chris Evans would have fought Doctor Doom 4 times, because Steve Rogers already fought Tony Stark in Captain America: Civil War. And just imagine this. If Avengers, Secret Wars, or Doomsday gives us a crossover between Evans' Captain America and his Human Torch, that would be absolutely peak. Honestly, if even half of these leaks turn out to be true, then Avengers Doomsday could easily become one of the most insane Marvel movies ever made. Because just think about it, we're not just getting random fights. We're getting meaningful character clashes like Sentry versus Professor X, which is more psychological than physical. And that already feels different from typical MCU action. Plus, if Marvel is really introducing the son of Steve Rogers, then it clearly shows they are thinking long-term about legacy characters and the future of the Avengers. And that's something the MCU actually needed after Endgame. But at the same time, I feel like Marvel has to be very careful, because if they overload the movie with too many characters characters and fights, it could become messy instead of epic. And when it comes to Deadpool, I get what Ryan Reynolds is trying to do by making him a team player. But let's be real, Deadpool works best when he feels like the main chaos of the story, not just a side character. Still, if they balance it properly and give him standout moments, it could actually make the movie even more fun. So overall, everything sounds super exciting right now. But the real question is, will Marvel actually deliver, or is this just another overhyped project? What do you think? Now, stepping back and looking at everything we've talked about, it really feels like Marvel is building towards something way bigger than just another crossover movie. Because if even a fraction of these rumors and possibilities actually make it into Avengers, Secret Wars, or Doomsday, then we're not just getting a film, we're getting a full-on multiverse event where legacy characters, variants, and alternate timelines all collide at once. And honestly, this might be Marvel's biggest opportunity to fix everything fans have been complaining about since Endgame, like inconsistent storytelling, lack of emotional stakes, and forgettable villains. Because bringing back legacy characters and unexpected variants instantly raises the stakes, it creates nostalgia, but also unpredictability. And that's exactly what the MCU needs right now to feel fresh again. But at the same time, there's also a huge risk here that Marvel cannot ignore. Because when you try to include too many characters, too many cameos, and too many storylines in one movie, things can easily become messy instead of epic. And we've already seen this problem in some recent projects where great ideas didn't land properly due to weak execution. So the real challenge for Marvel is not just bringing these characters together, it's giving them meaningful roles, emotional depth, and a story that actually connects everything in a satisfying way. Because let's be honest, fans don't just want surprises anymore, they want payoff. They want moments that actually matter, not just quick cameos that look cool for 5 seconds and then disappear. And if we start thinking about what could actually happen in these movies, there are some really interesting possibilities. Like, what if Secret Wars becomes the ultimate reset point for the MCU, where different universes collide and only a few characters survive to rebuild a new timeline? Or what if Marvel uses variants like different versions of Iron Man or Captain America to pass the torch in a more impactful way? And another crazy possibility is that Doctor Doom might not just be a villain, but the central figure holding the entire multiverse together before everything collapses, which would make him far more complex and dangerous than anything we've seen before. And if Marvel plays this right, we could get a story that feels as massive as Infinity War, but even more emotional because of the legacy factor. So overall, everything we're hearing right now sounds incredibly exciting, but it all comes down to execution, because the ideas are already there, the hype is already there, and the fan expectations are higher than ever. Now it's up to Marvel to actually deliver something that lives up to that hype, something that feels earned, emotional, and unforgettable. Because if they get this right, Avengers, Secret Wars, and Doomsday could redefine the MCU for the next decade. But if they get it wrong, it could be a missed opportunity on a massive scale. So now the real question is not just what will happen, but how well Marvel can pull it off. And honestly, I'm excited, but also a little cautious. What about you? Do you think Marvel will actually deliver, or are we getting overhyped again? Drop your thoughts below and stay tuned, because the Doomsday hype is only getting started.